Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and I'm so excited today because I'm guest designing for WPlus9. I thought I'd film my card as I created, and I'm using this Beautiful Bouquet stamp. There's a few different kinds of these, and this is the one called Mums. It's actually chrysanthemums, and I thought it'd be fun to create it's almost like my own colouring book page. And I have a piece of white cardstock. It's cut larger than what I need, and what I'm going to do is actually stamp this all over the whole front of this cardstock panel. There's two main flowers in this image, and what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that the flower that I want to be the focal point of my card is centered in the middle upper right, sort of where my panel is going to be. It'll make sense a bit later on once I get it all stamped out. I have some Inkadinkado stamping mask paper that I've already cut out a mask, and because this is such a large stamp, this takes no time at all to stamp it out, and that's even better. I'm using some Onyx Black ink because I'm going to be colouring with some Polychromos pencils today. And I did move my stamp mask around just the once there to make sure that I didn't overlap my images and create a mess. So this is my piece of cardstock ready to go, and I'm not sure if I've stamped quite enough yet. So what I have here is just a scrap piece of white cardstock that I've cut the center out of, and it's the same size as the front of my cards. So this just gives me an idea of whether I'm happy with my stamping or when I'm putting placement together. I'm a very visual person, so I find that is really helpful. So I'm going to start colouring my flower now that I've chosen as my focal point, and I've purposely chosen this flower because of the rule of thirds, and that just basically means if you divide your design into 9, where the cross points intersect, that's going to be the sweet spot where you want an element or something that you want the eye to visually be drawn to. This is going to be a sort of two-tone coloured flower. I have decided to use my Polychromos today instead of my Prismacolors, just to sort of practice and have a play with them. The lead in these is oil based as opposed to a wax base of the Prismacolor. So that means it's actually, the lead itself is harder or sturdier, so they blend a little bit differently to the Prismacolors. And I'm not using any blending solutions today. I'm literally just allowing the pencils to blend themselves. The Prismacolor pencils, because they're a wax base, can actually leave a bloom, and when you're working on such an intricate design like these chrysanthemums, you can lose some of the detailed edges of the image and of the flower. One way that I do get around that, though, if I do use my Prismacolors on an intricate image, is I re-stamp it over the top, and if I know I need to do that, I'll often stamp that image using my Misty tool, and then when I finish colouring, I can come back and stamp over top with the Misty and know that it's going to be in exactly the same space, or in the same place I should say. So I'm simply just using lots of layers of colour here. I started with the yellow to get my two-tone effect. I've got the yellow on the inside, sort of on the inner petals, and working out towards a nice bright pink. I've also added a bit of red, and that just kind of helps add some depth to the flower. And you know, flowers also have light bouncing off them, so I have actually left some of the areas of the petals kind of looking like they're white and added a lot less colour to those. I find it easier if I colour the whole image, and then sort of once I've got the whole lot coloured, I can come back and add my shadows and depth at the end. I just find that I can see where the shadows are going to be a lot easier, but it's whatever you find works for you. For the leaves, I did add some simple colour first, just so I knew which leaves I did want to colour on my whole image, because it is a very busy background panel, and it's hard to tell, but I am actually pressing very softly on these pencils and just allowing the oil-based lead to sort of mix with itself as I'm colouring. I know it might seem dramatic, but I do use a black pencil to come in and just add that bold depth at the end. I'll do it on the leaves and also come back and add it on the petals as well. It's amazing how much of a difference it can make to the whole image. So now it's time to work on my sentiment. I've got the word wishing that I want to die cut out of this hot pink cardstock. This is just a scrap piece of cardstock, and it's from the Sending, Hoping, Wishing die set. There's also a matching stamp set to this as well. It's really, really fun, great, versatile set. So I thought it'd be really good to have a nice bold sentiment on my background because it's such a busy background. I did also die cut it again from some fun foam, and I've left the die cut in place because I find it holds its shape better, and because the foam is sort of stretchy, by holding it in place I don't have to worry about trying to wriggle it and get it all to fit together. So it is the matte medium that I used to adhere it together, so I do like to sort of set a block on it or something on it just for a few minutes until it dries. So I've got my window panel again, my card window panel, and now that all the colouring and everything's done, I can work out exactly where I want to cut my panel down to. So I'm just placing some pencil marks on the actual piece of cardstock, and then I can use my guide wire in my trimmer. It makes it really easy to work out where to cut. I just put a pencil mark, and then if I keep sort of turning my paper around and cutting it from the straight edge, I know that it's going to be square. Now for the second part of my sentiment, I've got just some scrap black cardstock, and using my powder tool and some Versamark ink and stamping out a sentiment from the Sending, Hoping, Wishing stamp set, and then I'm going to heat emboss this in white. Because the background is so busy, I thought that it would be a good idea to have the dark cardstock just to stand out on that sort of colouring book style background. Now my ATG gun, I've finally figured out how to work it. Love it now. I'm actually holding the trigger in and just pulling it off the page, and it just lets go. I love it. I used to have to click, unclick, and it wouldn't work. But anyway, it's all good now, and it's my friend. So I've added that to the back of my panel and adhering that to the front of my top fold card. Got my matte medium yet again, and going to attach my wishing sentiment. And just by having the black fun foam behind that, it just helps that pop on that busy background as well. I'm going to focus everything right up near the center where the flower is on the card front. Just wait a few minutes for that to dry, and then I can add some foam squares to the back of my sentiment strip. And what I do here is I just flip it over where I want it to be, and then I know where to put my foam squares, so that when I turn it over and adhere it down, because the wishing does sit up off the page, I'm not going to put my foam squares in the wrong spot and then have to move them. I learnt that one the hard way. And I can just pop that up on the front of my card. As a final touch, I have some licorice sprinkles, and scattering those on the card front, using some matte medium because I know that's going to hold them in place. I just want to say thank you so very much, WPlus9 and Dawn, for having me as a guest designer. I've had a blast. So till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.